5 African presidents sitting around a table in the White House, cameras rolling live to the world. But here is what nobody is talking about. The camera was deliberately placed behind their backs the entire time. You think that was an accident? By the end of this video, you would understand why that single camera move reveals more about global power than any political speech ever could. But first, let me show you what they don't want you to see. Here is the truth they won't tell you. This wasn't a diplomatic meeting. This was Africa's job interview with America. 5 presidents from Gabon, Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, Mauritania and Senegal had to audition for Trump's favor. Meanwhile, Africa's economic giants, Nigeria, South Africa, Egypt, Ethiopia, they were deliberately left in the waiting room. Think about that for a moment. You invite smaller economies but deliberately exclude powerhouses. That's not diplomacy, that's power play. But here is where it gets interesting. In just a moment, I will show you the exact words one journalist used that made Trump reveal his true intentions about Africa. First, you need to understand the game being played. Why would the most powerful man in the world only invite 5 specific African leaders? What do these countries have that the big economies don't? The answer will shock you. You see, Trump didn't hide his intentions. He literally said,
Gabon, Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, Mauritania, and Senegal, all very vibrant places with very valuable land, great minerals, great oil deposits, and wonderful people.
You see, this is where it gets calculated. Every single country invited sits on critical resources America needs. Gabon, second largest manganese producer globally. Mauritania, untapped iron ore and uranium. Senegal recently discovered oil reserves. Liberia has vast untapped mineral resources. Guinea-Bissau, strategic maritime location. But here is the genius move. These aren't the countries challenging America's interest. They are small enough to make deals with, rich enough to be valuable, but not powerful enough to say no.
Mauritania is a small country. It's a small country also in the sense that what influence it has throughout the world. It's not like the US, Mr. President.
Now you might be thinking, isn't this just normal trade? Oh my friend, this is much bigger than trade. China just removed tariffs on 53 African countries. Russia is expanding military partnerships across the continent. And America, they have been losing the influence game for years. So Trump pulled out the oldest trick in geopolitics, divide and conquer. But there is something happening in that room that no one is reporting. One African leader did something that completely changed the power dynamic. And I will tell you that in a minute. But first, let me paint you the scene. 5 African presidents, the most powerful leaders on their continent, sitting at America's most important table, and the entire time the camera was positioned behind them. You see their backs, their shoulders, the back of their heads. A live stream commentator asked the question everyone was thinking. Why was the camera placed behind the African presidents throughout? Was it an accident, a technical issue, or a deliberate act? You see, in media psychology, camera angles communicate power relationships. When you film someone from behind, you are saying they are not the main character in this story. Compare that to how Trump was filmed, front and center, every word captured, every gesture highlighted. This is visual storytelling, and the story being told was clear. But this is where one African leader completely flipped the script. In a moment, I will show you how Gabon's president walked into the room and essentially told the entire Western world, free lunch is over. Now, this is where things got uncomfortable. And I really mean uncomfortable. Trump then stood, Liberia's president, Joseph Boakai, and said,
"Well, thank you in such good English, such beautiful. Where did you learn to speak so beautifully? Where were you educated? Where?"
Brothers and sisters, let me break this down for you. English isn't Liberia's second language. It's not their colonial language. English is Liberia. It's been their official language since 1847. That's 178 years. Liberia was founded by free African American slaves. English is literally their native tongue. But Trump's surprise reveals something deeper. It exposed how Africa is still seen in many Western minds as a place where speaking good English is somehow surprising.
In Liberia?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's very interesting. That's beautiful English.
Sure.
I have people at this table can't speak nearly as well.
There is an African proverb that says, when the roots of a tree begin to decay, it spreads death to the branches. Trump's comments reveal the decaying roots of how Africa has been perceived on the world stage. The reactions from Africans online, explosive. Social media erupted with people calling it patronizing and ignorant. But President Boakai, he maintained perfect diplomatic composure while probably thinking what every African viewer was thinking. But you know what? While Trump was making these comments, one African leader was preparing to deliver the biggest economic shock of the century. This is where Gabon's president, Brice Oligui Nguema, became the real star of this story. While other leaders praised Trump and even suggested he deserved a Nobel Peace Prize. Yes, that actually happened.
Are you all considering to nominate President Trump for a Nobel Prize Peace?
But I can guarantee you that Mauritania would never be opposed to President Trump receiving a Nobel Peace Prize.
Nguema did something truly revolutionary. He looked Trump in the eyes and said,
"We are not poor countries.
Nous sommes des pays riches en
We
matière
are rich countries when it comes to
Mais
raw
nous avons besoin des
materials.
partenaires
But we need
pour nous
partners
accompagner pour les
to
développer.
support us and
Avec
help
des
us develop
partenariats
those
win-win.
resources with win-win
Gagnant-gagnant.
partnerships.
C'est ce que nous souhaitons.
That is our
Je suis
wish.
souvent vos discours.
the translation here, we are done being resource extraction sites. Here is what makes this explosive. Nguema has already proven he means business. Just months before this meeting, he terminated Gabon's 18-year fishing agreement with European Union. The same deal I exposed in my video where European fleets were taking $64 million worth of tuna and paying just $2.6 million to Gabon. Secondly, he had declared Gabon will ban all manganese exports, meaning every ounce must be processed inside Gabon before leaving the country. And third, he had warned France, historically Gabon's biggest trading partner, that the era of shipping raw materials to Europe without processing is ending. If you haven't seen how Gabon discovered that they had been robbed for 18 years and their reaction that broke the internet, watch that video after this one. The link is in the description because what Nguema did to the EU fishing industry is just the beginning. This man isn't just talking about resource sovereignty, he is making it happen. But here's the thing that's going to change everything about how the world sees Africa. Trump made a big show about asking African countries to remove tariffs on American goods. He said, and I quote, "African countries should remove tariffs for the US. Sounds reasonable, right? China just removed tariffs on 53 African countries, so why shouldn't Africa reciprocate to America?" But here is what they don't want you to know. The majority of American goods already enter African markets tariff-free or at extremely low rates. Take South Africa as an example. Trump slapped a 30% tariff on South African steel and aluminium. Meanwhile, a huge percentage of American goods flow into South Africa with little or no tariffs. This isn't about fair trade, it is economic theater. Why create a false narrative about African tariffs? Because it justifies American protectionism while making Africa look like the unreasonable party. But the most shocking part of this entire meeting wasn't what was said. You remember when I said this was like a chess game? Well, let me show you the entire strategy at play. In chess, you don't attack the king directly. You control the board, limit options, and force your opponents into positions where they have no choice but to comply. That's exactly what happened in this room. Trump offered these 5 countries something their neighbors won't get: tariff exemptions. You play by our rules and we would exempt you from the economic warfare we are planning on everyone else. This wasn't about these 5 countries at all. This was a message to Nigeria, South Africa, Egypt, and Ethiopia. See what happens when you cooperate with us. See what you are missing by staying with BRICS, China, and Russia. But here's what Trump miscalculated. What he didn't expect was for leaders like Gabon's Gema to use this platform not to beg for American investment, but to announce the end of resource colonialism. Think about the symbolism. An African leader sitting in the heart of American power, telling the world Africa's resources will now benefit Africa first. That, my friends, is what a power shift looks like. Here is what this meeting really revealed. The era of aid and exploitation is ending, but what's really replacing it isn't necessarily better, it's just more honest. America is saying, we want your resources and we will pay fair market value. China is saying, we want your resources and we will build your infrastructure. Africa is starting to say, we want to start processing our own resources and sell you the finished products. The question isn't who wins this 3-way race. The question is, will Africa finally position itself as an equal partner, or will it just switch from one dependency to another? This is what the African Renaissance is supposed to look like. Not begging for investment, but demanding partnerships. Not selling raw materials, but insisting on value addition. So, I ask you, when you saw those camera angles, when you heard Trump's surprise at good English.
Well, thank you. And such good English, such beautiful. Where did you learn to speak so beautifully?
When you watched 5 presidents audition for American favor, what did you see? Did you see diplomacy, or did you see the last gasp of an old world order trying to maintain control over a continent that's finally waking up? Drop a comment below and tell me, is Gabon's resource sovereignty model a blueprint other African countries should follow? And if you are part of the African diaspora, what role do you think you should play in supporting these kinds of bold moves? Don't just watch this revolution, be part of it, because what happens in the next 5 years will determine whether your children inherit a continent of equal partners or perpetual dependence. And if you want to understand how all this started, go watch my video on how Gabon discovered they have been robbed for 18 years. It will show you exactly why leaders like Gema are done playing by the old rules. The strategic lens doesn't just show you what happened, it shows you what's coming next. I'm Hassan Wedwis. Subscribe if you want to see the world through a strategic perspective, because this is just the beginning. Africa Today is a business channel, but then you can't do business if you don't know what's going on around you. That's why we are on the strategic lens. Thanks. See you in my next investigation. Bye.